It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. According to today's guest, Doreen, virtue, difficult relationships, and challenging circumstances all come down to one thing: drama. Doreen is here to discuss the reasons why we can become addicted to high drama relationships, jobs, and lifestyles, and how we can heal from this cycle. A former psychotherapist who specialized in eating disorders and addictions, Doreen has appeared on Oprah, CNN, and Good Morning America, and she's been featured in newspapers and magazines worldwide. She is the author of the new book, Don't Let Anything Dull Your Sparkle: How to Break Free of Negativity and Drama. Welcome, Doreen. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Joan. It's a pleasure to be with you and all of your listeners.
Doreen, we all know someone that thrives on drama, someone who's hooked on it, and hopefully it's not us, but what is the cause of someone being a quote-unquote drama queen? What's the psychological basis to a drama addiction?
Well, I'm glad you asked, and I have to say that writing this book changed my perspective on what I used to think of people who were drama queens. Mm-hmm. And there was a part of me, I'm admitting, that judged people who had constant drama. But after writing this book, I now have the same compassion that I do for people who have drama addiction as I do for people who are addicted to drugs or alcohol, because it's an actual physical addiction to body chemicals and brain chemistry. And it all starts with a trauma in our lives that has been unhealed. The trauma actually changes our brain chemistry and our physiology, and it makes us have this on switch that's broken, where we are constantly on alert for traumas coming our way. We are constantly on this hypervigilance, where we're in this constant anxiety state that so many people are in right now, and I'm very concerned. So I wrote this book so that we could get the word out there and do some healing.
And you know, the way you just described it, that's not the way many people view someone that we believe to be a quote-unquote drama queen. We usually think that person just wants to be the center of attention, or it just has to be about him or her. So what type of trauma can cause someone to thrive on drama?
Well, there's different ways that people express the trauma that they experience, and also different types of experiences can be traumatic. What's traumatic to me might not be traumatic to you. It really is the internal feeling of shock, of feeling like you might die, of horror. And so studies that I've gone through show that they can be everything from the loss of a loved one to a car accident to a medical emergency. Financial problems can be it. Actually, studies are showing that it changes our brain chemistry, that rewires us actually, so that we begin to attract and almost crave drama so that we can feel alive.
So Doreen, what do you think a person really wants to achieve from the drama? What's their desired end result?
Well, there's different things. You mentioned the person who wants constant attention. That's one type of expression of the trauma syndrome, and that would be the histrionic person or the narcissistic person. And really what they want out of that is they want love. They want to feel safe. They want to feel reassured, and they don't know how to do it. And they've learned through reinforcement that if they act really crazy or highly dramatic, that they'll get that good feeling of safety. It's even a moment. But that's how addictions are. You know, the same process happens with the gambler who's addicted to pulling the slot machine. They get payoff every now and then for it, but they keep pulling that slot machine. Same with the drama addict. They keep, acting out, not realizing how detrimental it is. They lose jobs over it, they lose relationships, even health over it. But they can't see that because occasionally they get a reward for it.
For someone that's in a relationship with a person like this, how can we manage the drama and what does it do to us?
Well, thank you. It does do something to us. And in the book I outline how there's secondary post-traumatic stress disorder that scientists are now tracking that we've really never looked at. And it can be from living with someone who's a drama addict. It can also be from watching movies where there's too much drama, and even watching the news. And we've all watched the news where these horrible things have happened, and it's touched us, it's affected us. So when you're with someone who's highly dramatic, it can trigger your own internal systems that have been traumatized and really make you upset. It can make you afraid on behalf of yourself and also on behalf of the other person. So when that happens, what studies show now, the worst thing we can do is to stuff down the feelings or to sit with them. And with the person that you're living with who's traumatized, your only response really is to be a role model of peacefulness and not to reinforce their negative behavior, not to give them that attention when they're going through that, unless they're endangering themselves or someone else. Then you've got to do appropriate attention, such as getting them help.
So, Doreen, if we give them the attention that they're seeking, we're basically rewarding this type of behavior. So if we don't give them the attention, then what should we be doing?
You should be taking care of yourself. And that's the whole healing part of this, is once we recognize this pattern, we won't get hooked into it anymore. A lot of us, we have to ask ourselves, first of all, why am I in a relationship with someone who's addicted to drama? That's part of our own drama addiction. We don't accidentally get involved with people unless it's our family, that we were birthed with and we're a kid. But as adults, there's no accident if we happen to be with people that are constantly attention-seeking for dramatic reasons. That's part of our own drama addiction. So first of all, we've got to take care of ourselves and heal ourselves. And the studies that I've got in this book overwhelmingly point to self-care as the path to healing.
Well, Doreen, you just mentioned that we need to question why we're in a relationship like that. So what advice do you offer to help someone build a healthy relationship?
Well, if you're with a person already who's in a dramatic cycle, a triangle where they are stuck, that person is responsible for getting their own help. The only thing we can control, of course, is ourselves and choosing our future relationships. So I have lists in the book to look out for the red flags. Everyone I've ever talked to, and that includes my own experiences, has had these warnings, what I call red flags, before they get involved with someone who's going to be high maintenance. You saw it right off the bat. But there was a part of our own drama addiction that said, oh, bring it on. And then we got involved with them. So going forward, if we can recognize that, then we won't be so apt to say yes to people who are going to offer us that roller coaster relationship. If we're currently in one, I would negotiate going to trauma-based counseling together. Trauma-based counseling is so much gentler than going to regular psychotherapy because it's really focused on releasing the past, not analyzing it. And as a couple, it can be a very pleasant experience to do together, and then you heal together.
Do you think we get involved in these types of relationships because we believe we can change the other person?
Oh, definitely. And that's part of drama addiction. And the part is that we think that we're different, that, okay, maybe he doesn't like the other women he was with, but I'll love him so much and I'll be special that I'll change him, I'll fix him. And then we get hooked into the occasional time when that belief is rewarded, and we find ourselves in this relationship that's a roller coaster. It's 1 minute he's hot, 1 minute he's cold. And that's part of the drama addiction, is getting into those high-maintenance relationships.
Doreen, you're a psychotherapist, and you went from a very scientific career to being a person who studied angels and angel therapy. How did that change come about?
Well, it came about 20 years ago this month, where I was in an armed carjacking in Anaheim, California. And before that carjacking, just about an hour before, I'd heard a disembodied voice outside of my right ear, a man's voice, warn me that my car was going to be stolen if I didn't take certain steps. Now, I had heard a voice like that in childhood because I was born highly sensitive. But during my life where I'd become a psychotherapist, I was actually trained to diagnose people who heard voices. So it was really different for me to hear this voice say, it basically said, you better put the top up on your car or it will be stolen. It was a convertible car. And an hour later, it came true. I hadn't put the top up because the motor was broken on the top part of the car, and I was carjacked. I was jumped. But after this happened, and I did follow what the angels told me to do in the carjacking, and because of that, my life was saved, and also my car and my purse, which they were after. And after it happened, it was such an intense experience that as a scientist, I decided to study what the heck just happened. How did this voice happen? How did it know my future, that an hour from now my car would be stolen? I heard the voice in one city, and then the carjacking happened an hour later in a whole different city. And I just couldn't understand it. So I started to talk to other people who had the same experience that I did. It might be not exactly the same. Maybe they heard a voice say, change lanes right now. And they changed lanes, and it saved their life. And I found that these people were not insane. They were actually very sane, but they were afraid to admit what had happened to them publicly for fear that people would think they were insane because they'd heard a voice. So I just kind of decided to spread the word, be the spokesperson to go out and say, hey, these angel experiences are real. And as the more I studied it, the more I could actually hear the daily voice of God and the angels, which the daily voice outside of like a carjacking or a car accident, they talk to us all the time, but very quietly. We might call it intuition. So then I started to teach people about that. And the 20 years went by, and it really feels like I've done my job. I'm going to continue doing that, but there's enough people out now teaching about angels that can go back to doing the psychology work that I started with, such as this book. This book is not an angel book. It does have a message I got through a voice in the beginning of the book, but it's really about how to heal from the addiction to negativity that I'm too often seeing in people.
Doreen, what forms can divine intervention take? You spoke about hearing a voice, but what other types of messages can we receive that we may be missing?
Well, it can be something that seems very ordinary. I've talked to people who prayed to have a better job, and the moment that they stop saying their prayer, the phone rings, and it's some old acquaintance who's calling them up saying, let's go to lunch. So doors like that can open up for you, and if you go to lunch with that person, you'll find that it leads to the job of your dreams somehow. So divine intervention can also be for people who have money problems. They pray for money, and then they need financial help to have enough money for food and their needs, and then all of a sudden they get a great idea to do something, and those who follow those ideas find that they never have money problems again, plus their idea helps other people. So divine intervention can be direct, where you pray to be healed of a physical problem and boom, you're healed, or it can be more indirect, where you get this recurring thought to call a certain doctor, and you call that doctor, and they are the ones who have the key to heal your body.
And Doreen, every day I see the same 3 sets of numbers. It can be on a clock or on my computer, or I may be driving and I'll see it on a license plate. And these same 3 sets of numbers appear to me every single day. Those numbers, that's a message for me, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. In fact, numbers are the universal language. If you think of all the languages around our globe, the one thing we all have in common is numbers. And so very frequently we'll receive divine messages through repetitive number sequences. Which one do you see?
I see 627, 624, and 727. And 627 is actually the house number that I grew up in, and 624 was my grandparents' house. So at first, I thought maybe it was messages from them, but now I'm not sure.
Well, I would agree. When it's a significant number, like your house address, and especially if you have departed loved ones associated with it, I would definitely take it as a nod from your grandparents that they're watching over you, and don't worry, we've got this. But then if you look at the additional meaning, it can be both. So 624 would mean don't worry about money because the angels are helping you with it. Don't worry about material things.
And 627 and 727 means a new path, right?
Right, but to keep the faith about it, because what they're showing me is you're working so far in the future. I mean, you're working on like a 10-year plan that you may not see the evidence of all the hard work you're putting in today until you get down the road a little bit more. So it's exactly like a gardener, got to plow the fields before you see the crops.
Do you think because we don't pay attention, we miss the communication? I mean, I know songs and birds and butterflies, they all have meanings, right?
Right. Yeah, and the key is that they're repetitive and they're unusual. So, for instance, with butterflies, they can often be a sign from heaven of a departed loved one. But one butterfly may not mean something unless perhaps it was significant, like it was your friend's favorite butterfly who's passed, or their favorite bird. But if you have a swarm of that bird, or they act in an unusual way, like a bird who's usually shy suddenly wants to hang out with you, that's a definite sign. Also, your gut feelings will tell you if it's a sign or not. The first feeling you get when you see something, trust it. The first thought you get, like if you think of your grandparents, trust it. And these are always coming to us. Like you said, if you can miss the signs because you're preoccupied with worry, and you miss the signs that say don't worry. Mm-hmm. You can miss the signs because you are doubtful. You don't want to make a mistake, and you think, oh, I'm just imagining this. It's a big one that people go through. But the signs are always there, and those who read the signs are much happier.
If you could look over your entire body of work, your psychotherapy work as a scientist, and your angel therapy, if you could look over this entire body, what life lessons have you learned that you'd like to share with us?
Well, the one thing I've learned is seems really simple. A lot of people tell me they want to write a book or they want to, teach others, and I encourage everyone who's got that feeling to do it. What I've learned is that life doesn't stop to give us enough time to do our priorities. You have to make the time. And most of my books I write in small increments of time in between my life. I've got 2 kids. I've got 27 pets. I've got a lot going on in my life. Friends. I do daily exercise, and so just take care of your priorities. Do them every single day. Do one thing every day related to what your dreams are, what your priorities is, what your passion is. But it doesn't have to be hours and hours. It could be 10 minutes that you do, and that's enough to feed your soul, to keep you going through the times when you feel like you're taking actions that aren't feeding your soul.
The book is Don't Let Anything Dull Your Sparkle, How to Break Free of Negativity and Drama by Doreen Virtue. If you'd like to get more information about the book or Doreen and her work, you can visit angeltherapy.com. Doreen, in our final moments, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
Don't be afraid. Feeding into fear just gives gasoline to the fire. You're here to help heal the world through being at peace, and you really can tackle your own emotions. You really can be in charge of being at peace and being happy through self-care. It's really that simple. The next time you're stressed, stretch. Go do some yoga. Get up from your desk and stretch, and you'll see that there's a big shift. And the positive ripple effect that has on your whole office, on your whole household, on your whole world is unmeasurable. It's big.
Doreen, thank you so much for being here with us today. Your body of work, it is fascinating, and it has the potential to change so many lives. And I'm so happy that you were here to share this with us today.
Thank you, Joan, and thank you, everyone.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit CYACYL.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, CYACYL.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.